Most homes don't look cheap because of budget. They look cheap because of 7 specific, fixable mistakes. What nobody knew at the time was that the worst offender isn't the one you'd ever guess. Design authorities including Homes and Gardens, The English Home, and color consultant Maria Killam are all flagging the same pattern. These mistakes aren't about money. They're about visible shortcuts. And in 2026, with texture, material quality, and coherence now the true markers of a high-end exterior, experts like Caroline Borgman and Laura Stevens say there's no excuse left. Nobody was paying attention to facade monotony back then. Matching everything felt safe, felt considered, felt like the responsible choice. That was about to change. Number 7. Overusing one facade treatment until your house looks mass-produced. Here's the thing about matching everything on your exterior. It feels logical. It feels cohesive. You pick one material, one finish, one color, and you run it wall to wall, corner to corner, and you stand back and think, yes, that's tidy. That's intentional. That looks expensive. It isn't. It's the opposite. Maria Killam, one of the most cited color consultants working in residential design today, flagged this exact pattern in her 2026 new build analysis. She described repeated design shortcuts, single material facades, uniform render from foundation to roofline as the #1 pattern she sees in homes that feel cheap, even when the build cost was anything but. The problem isn't the material itself. The problem is the repetition. When everything matches, nothing stands out. And when nothing stands out, the house reads as a template, not a home. The English Home has a principle that runs through almost every high-end exterior feature they publish. Variety used selectively makes a house feel evolved. Not busy, not chaotic, evolved. Think of a Georgian townhouse with brick walls and painted stone detailing around the windows. Think of a Cotswold cottage with render on the upper story and exposed stone below. Those contrasts aren't accidents. They're decisions. They signal that someone thought carefully about the building, not just painted over it. I mean, think about that for a second. The homes we instinctively call expensive, the ones that stop you on the street, almost never have a single facade material running uninterrupted. There's always a shift, a contrast, a moment where one texture meets another and the eye pauses. The fix is simpler than most people expect. You don't need to reclad the whole house. One contrasting material, introduced thoughtfully, changes everything. Stone against render, timber cladding against brick, a painted panel section against a raw material. Even a single accent strip of a different texture at ground level creates a visual break that reads as deliberate design rather than developer shortcut. And here's the cost anchor that makes this genuinely hard to argue with. One accent panel or a section of contrasting cladding, say a run of horizontal timber boarding on a gable end, costs less than a full exterior repaint. We're talking a few £100 in materials and a weekend of work. But the visual impact is roughly 10 times greater because it introduces depth, contrast, and the impression of considered design. A full repaint in the same color you already have changes nothing except the freshness. A contrasting material changes the entire character of the building. But facade treatment wasn't done yet, not even close. Because the mistake that sits just below it in this list is one you touch every single day. And most people have never once thought about it. For a while, things actually seemed fine. One material, clean lines, freshly painted. That didn't last. Number 6. Cheap hardware that undermines everything else you've done right. Laura Stevens, interior and exterior design consultant with over 2 decades of residential project experience, puts it plainly. Flimsy hardware makes a renovation feel cheap because you notice it every time you touch it. Not once, every time. Every morning when you leave, every evening when you return, every time a visitor arrives and reaches for your door knocker before you've even opened the door. That's the mechanism people miss. Hardware isn't a background detail. It's a tactile, daily, repeated interaction. And the human brain is extraordinarily good at registering quality through touch. A lightweight chrome knocker that flexes when you lift it. A plastic letter plate that rattles in the wind. A handle that feels hollow because it is hollow. These sensations register instantly, and they communicate something specific. Shortcuts were taken here. The problem with cheap hardware goes beyond feel. Lightweight chrome fittings and plastic components signal shortcuts even on an otherwise well-maintained facade. You can have freshly painted render, clean windows, a swept path, and a flimsy chrome handle undoes the impression in a single touch. It's the same reason a beautifully tailored suit loses credibility with a plastic belt buckle. The weakest detail sets the standard for everything around it. Homes and Gardens has consistently recommended solid brass as the material benchmark for exterior door hardware. Brass has a specific quality that no chrome or plastic alternative can replicate. It develops a patina over time. It doesn't degrade, it evolves. A brass door knocker installed today will look better in 5 years than it does right now, because the surface deepens and warms with age. Brass letter plates, brass house numbers, brass handle sets, each one signals permanence, not compromise. Consider the cascade impact here. You touch your door handle every day. So does every visitor. So does every delivery driver. So does every estate agent who walks through during evaluation, and every potential buyer who forms their first impression of your property before they've crossed the threshold. The door handle is the handshake of the house, and you wouldn't shake someone's hand with a disposable glove on. The cost argument against quality hardware collapses immediately when you run the actual numbers. Solid brass hardware, a proper knocker, a letter plate, a handle set from a reputable supplier, starts from around 40 to 80 pounds per piece. That sounds like a lot until you compare it to 2 rounds of cheap plastic replacements that won't survive a single British winter without cracking, fading, or seizing up. The brass costs more up front. It costs nothing to replace. The plastic costs less up front and costs you again within 18 months. And here's the part that should make you genuinely uncomfortable. If cheap hardware is sitting at number 6 on this list, the mistakes above it are doing even more damage. And number 5 is one that almost every homeowner gets wrong. Not because they're careless, but because they're trying to be safe. Number 5, the wrong front door color, and why safe choices are the worst ones you can make. The front door is the focal point of every exterior. Before anyone reads your house number, before they notice your landscaping, before they register anything else, they see the door. It broadcasts the entire style of the house before anyone steps inside. Which means getting the color wrong isn't a minor misstep. It's a permanent first impression, repeated every single day. But here's the detail that everyone missed at the time. The 2 most common front door colors in Britain, brilliant white and dark gray, are also the 2 most problematic choices in 2026. Not because they're inherently ugly. Before we continue, this video covers 7 exterior mistakes, but there are dozens more inside the Home Design Mistake Bible. It goes deeper on facade decisions, hardware, and the fixes that because of what they do over time. The link and what they communicate to anyone looking at them. Brilliant white seems like the safest possible choice. Clean, crisp, timeless. It looks immaculate for about 6 months. Then the British climate gets involved. Rain, pollution, UV, general atmospheric grime, and brilliant white becomes brilliant beige gray, a color that reads not as clean, but as neglected. It's the fastest aging color choice on any exterior surface. And on a front door, it's particularly brutal because the door sits in a sheltered position that traps dirt and moisture in the panel grooves. What started as a statement of cleanliness becomes a statement of maintenance failure. Dark gray has a different problem. Homes and Gardens flags it as drab and unwelcoming, the color equivalent of a closed-off personality. In the early 2010s, dark gray felt modern and architectural. By 2026, it's on every new build development, every rental property, every house that wanted to look contemporary without making a decision. It's become the beige of the current decade. ubiquitous, safe, and completely characterless. The expert alternatives that design authorities are consistently recommending share a common quality. They age gracefully, and they complement surrounding materials rather than fighting them. Soft sage green works against brick and stone because it echoes the organic tones already present in the materials. A crisp off-white, not brilliant white, but a white with warmth in it, a slight cream or gray undertone, holds its appearance far longer and reads as considered rather than default. Deep navy works on certain period properties because it has depth that flat gray lacks. The 2026 design shift is decisive on this point. Door color is no longer a neutral backdrop decision. It's a style statement, and the wrong choice doesn't just fail to impress, it actively undermines every other improvement you've made. You can have perfect hardware, fresh render, beautiful planting, and a flat, dark gray door that turns the whole thing cold and generic. The door is the face of the house. Treat it accordingly. Number 4. Faded and peeling woodwork that signals neglect over style. Peeling trim doesn't read as vintage. It doesn't read as rustic. It doesn't read as characterful. It reads as one thing and one thing only. Nobody cares about this house. That's a hard sentence, but it's the accurate one. And it matters because peeling woodwork is one of those details that homeowners often stop seeing. It happens gradually. A little flaking here, a small crack there. You walk past it every day and your brain edits it out because it was fine last year, and it's only a little worse now. But visitors don't have that editing process. They see it fresh. And fresh eyes read peeling paint as neglect, not age. Homes and Gardens frames this correctly. This is a maintenance issue, not an age issue. A 100-year-old house with freshly painted trim looks expensive. A 10-year-old house with peeling window frames looks abandoned. The age of the property is irrelevant. The condition of the woodwork is everything. And the condition of the woodwork is entirely within your control. The cascade effect here is particularly damaging. One peeling window frame pulls the eye away from everything else you've done right. It's not that people consciously think, that window frame is peeling. It's that their eye is drawn to the disruption, the place where the surface is broken, where the color is inconsistent, and it anchors their overall impression of the property. You could have a perfect door, beautiful pots, quality hardware, and one neglected window frame poisons the whole picture. Someone specific saw it coming. Exterior woodwork specialists have been warning for years that the moment you can see daylight between the paint and the wood grain, you're past the cosmetic stage. What they said was simple: address it now or address it as a structural repair later. Nobody listened. The fixed timeline is genuinely encouraging, because this is one of the cheapest and highest return improvements on this entire list. A full exterior woodwork repaint, all window frames, sills, fascias, soffits, and door surround, takes 1 weekend with the right preparation. Materials cost under £200. Primer, undercoat, gloss, sandpaper, masking tape, and a decent brush. The return on that investment is immediate and visible from the street. The warning is equally clear. Leaving peeling woodwork for another season doesn't just maintain the problem, it compounds it. Water gets under the paint. It sits against the wood through winter. The wood softens, swells, and begins to rot. What was a 200-pound cosmetic fix becomes a 2,000-pound structural replacement. The window frame that needed a sand and repaint now needs to be removed and replaced entirely. So yeah, not great. Peeling woodwork would look back on this moment and wish it had been addressed before the second winter. Because by then, the rot had already started and the cost had already multiplied. Number 3. Plastic plant pots at eye level right at your front door. There's a reason this story is still talked about in design circles today. Because plastic pots at the front door represent something specific: the gap between the intention and the execution. The intention is color, life, welcome. The execution is a faded terracotta-colored plastic container with a crack along the base and a plant that's been there since 2021. Number 3. The plastic plant pot, and its position here isn't arbitrary. The front door entrance is where pots live, and it's exactly the wrong place to put the wrong container. Here's why placement matters so much. Pots at the front door sit at eye level, right at the moment a visitor forms their first impression. You've got roughly 3 seconds before someone's brain has filed your entrance under a category: welcoming, considered, neglected, cheap. Plastic pots file it under cheap, every time, regardless of what's growing in them. A beautiful topiary ball in a cracked plastic pot still reads as a cracked plastic pot. The plant doesn't save it. Homes and Gardens is unambiguous on this point. Plastic pots are one of the clearest signals of a cheap exterior finish. Not because plastic is inherently wrong in every context, but because at the front entrance, where everything is scrutinized, plastic communicates that the finishing detail wasn't worth the investment. And finishing details are exactly what separate a considered exterior from a functional one. The durability argument against plastic is also more damning than most people realize. Plastic cracks in frost. It fades in UV. It warps and discolors within 2 growing seasons, which means the pot that looked acceptable in spring looks degraded by the following autumn. It's a false economy in the most literal sense. You spend less up front, and you replace it repeatedly. And at every replacement point, the pot looks worse than the one before it, because the garden center's cheap range doesn't improve year on year. The expert fix is large terracotta, not small terracotta, large. This is where scale becomes a design principle rather than a preference. A single large terracotta pot, genuine fired terracotta, not the thin-walled decorative kind, looks more expensive than 4 small plastic ones. It commands the space. It has visual weight. It signals that someone made a deliberate, confident choice rather than filling a gap with whatever was available. Large terracotta pots last decades. They improve with age as the surface develops a natural patina of lime and moss that no plastic pot can replicate. And here's the detail that surprises most people. Genuine terracotta, particularly thicker-walled pots, handles cold frosts better than plastic does. Plastic becomes brittle below freezing. Terracotta, properly dried and positioned, survives British winters without cracking. The cost comparison closes the argument. A pair of quality large terracotta pots cost between 60 and 120 pounds. 4 small plastic pots that need replacing every 2 years cost more over a decade and look worse every single season. Less is more. 1 large terracotta pot with a well-chosen evergreen plant is worth more to your curb appeal than an entire collection of plastic containers in 3 different sizes and 4 different shades of faded green. And if number 3 surprised you, number 2 is the one that operates entirely in the dark. Literally. Because half the time your house is seen, it's not in daylight at all. Number 2. Poor exterior lighting that makes your home look neglected after dark. Think about that statistic for a moment. 50% of the time your house is seen, by neighbors, by people walking past, by anyone returning home with you, by every visitor who arrives after 4 in the afternoon between October and March. It's seen in low light. And if your exterior lighting is poor, even a well-maintained facade looks abandoned after dark. Number 2, exterior lighting. And it earns its place this high because it's the mistake that operates invisibly. You walk inside, you don't look back, and you don't see what everyone else sees. A front elevation that disappears into shadow the moment the sun goes down. Caroline Borgman, architectural lighting consultant and contributor to multiple high-end residential design publications, is specific about what good exterior lighting looks like. Lighting on one or both sides of the front door, or above it, positioned to create layered illumination rather than a single flat source. The key word is layered. Not one light, not one bulb, a considered arrangement that creates depth, warmth, and visual interest after dark, in the same way that natural light creates it during the day. The English Home's 2026 coverage of exterior design makes a parallel that lands hard. Flat overhead lighting strips atmosphere from any interior space. It's one of the most consistent principles in residential interior design. The same principle applies outside. A single bare bulb above the front door is functional. It illuminates the keyhole. It means you can find your keys in the dark. But it reads as an afterthought, not a design decision. It's the exterior equivalent of a single central ceiling light in a living room. Technically adequate, atmospherically dead. The common mistake is almost universal. One fitting, positioned directly above the door, pointing straight down. It creates a harsh pool of light immediately below it, leads the rest of the entrance in shadow, and does nothing for the architectural features of the facade. It also tends to be the fitting that came with the house, the builder's standard, the landlord's minimum, and it's never been questioned because it works, technically. The fix options are well established, and each one adds a distinct layer of perceived value. Wall lanterns flanking the door, one on each side, at roughly eye level, create symmetry and warmth that reads as considered design from the street. Path lighting, set into the ground or mounted on low stakes along the approach, draws the eye toward the entrance and signals that the whole property has been thought about, not just the door. Uplighting on architectural features, a bay window, a stone pillar, a mature tree, creates drama and depth that makes the property look genuinely impressive after dark. The cost range here is broader than most people expect, which means there's no budget excuse for getting this wrong. Battery-operated wall lanterns with dusk to dawn sensors start from around 30 pounds each and require no electrical work. Hardwired quality brass or cast iron lanterns from established suppliers, like Davy Lighting or Chelsam, run from 150 pounds upward, but they're permanent, weather-resistant, and they add measurable value to the property. Path lighting sets with solar charging start from 40 pounds for a complete run. Every option is accessible. The only question is whether you've made the decision to address it. And if poor lighting is sitting at number 2 on this list, you already know that number 1 is something more visible, more immediately damaging, and more widespread than almost any other exterior mistake. It's the one that's chosen specifically to avoid effort. And the irony of that choice is what makes it the worst offender of all. Artificial plastic greenery that fools nobody and cheapens everything. Number 1, fake greenery. And the reason it sits at the top isn't just aesthetic. It's because of what it communicates. And because that communication happens from the street, instantly, without any ambiguity. The real question is what happened behind closed doors when this trend took hold. Because somewhere in the mid-2010s, artificial outdoor greenery went from a niche product to a mainstream exterior feature. Fake box balls, plastic ivy panels, artificial topiary spirals in molded plastic pots. And the logic seemed sound at the time. No watering, no maintenance, no seasonal dieback, no replanting. Year-round green, zero effort. The problem is that fake greenery is immediately identifiable from the street. That's not a subjective design opinion, it's a visual fact. The light doesn't move through plastic leaves the way it moves through real ones. The color doesn't vary the way organic material varies. The surface doesn't shift in the wind with the same weight and randomness as a living plant. The brain processes all of this in under a second, and it files the result under one category: substitution. Someone chose the appearance of care over actual care. And in exterior design, that distinction matters enormously. Homes and gardens is unambiguous. Artificial plastic greenery is the top exterior feature making a house look cheap. Not one of the top features, the top feature. And the mechanism is specific. It's a visual authenticity failure. Everything else on a well-maintained exterior signals investment, attention, and pride. Fake greenery signals the opposite, that the appearance of those things was preferred over the reality. The 2026 design context makes this worse, not better. We're in a design era that is obsessed with texture, material quality, and authenticity. Real stone over cladding, solid timber over composite, natural fibers over synthetic. In that context, plastic plants aren't just unfashionable. They're the loudest possible contradiction of every design principle that defines a high-end exterior in 2026. That's not a typo, by the way. Loudest. Because they're visible from the road, positioned at the entrance, and they make a statement whether you intend them to or not. The irony at the heart of fake greenery is what makes it the #1 mistake on this list. It's chosen specifically to avoid maintenance. No watering, no feeding, no seasonal care. But the message it sends costs far more in perceived value than any watering schedule ever would. A living plant that needs watering 3 times a week communicates care. A plastic plant that needs nothing communicates avoidance. And in the context of a front entrance, where every detail is read as a signal about the owner's relationship with their property, avoidance is the worst possible signal. The expert fix is perennial evergreens. Box balls, bay trees, yew, plants that are genuinely low maintenance, frost hardy, and designed by nature to look good year-round. A clipped box ball in a large terracotta pot requires watering once or twice a week in summer, a feed in spring, and a light trim twice a year. That's the full maintenance schedule. In return, it looks better every year as it establishes and fills out. It develops texture. It responds to light. It moves in the wind. It's alive. And that aliveness is visible from 30 meters. Bay trees are particularly well suited to front door positions. They're architectural, they're evergreen, they clip cleanly into standard and lollipop forms, and they're robust enough to handle exposed positions in most British climates. A matched pair of standard bay trees flanking a front door cost between £80 and £160 from a quality nursery. They'll be there in 20 years, looking better than they do today. Fake greenery had a window of time before the design consensus caught up with it, and the clock had already started. In 2026, that window is closed. As of 2026, these 7 mistakes are still on millions of British homes. This story isn't over, not even close. Fix yours first. Your front door is waiting.